What if I told you the most dangerous advantage a man can develop in his lifetime has nothing to do with strength, money, or charm? It's not in his body. It's not in his bank account. And it's definitely not in how loud he is. It comes from something most men spend their entire lives trying to fight. Age, not the number, not the gray hair, not the wrinkles, but what those years silently build inside him. Right now, as you're watching this, there are men in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, walking through life with a presence younger men can't copy, can't fake, and can't understand. They move differently. They speak with intention. They look at women differently. But more importantly, they look at themselves differently. And this isn't burnout. This isn't bitterness. This isn't giving up. This is transformation. And once a man reaches this stage, there is no going back. If you're over 50, what I'm about to say won't shock you. It will feel familiar, almost uncomfortable, like someone finally putting words to something you've been carrying quietly for years. Because here's the truth most men never hear. Age doesn't take from a man. It gives. It gives him advantages youth will never have, no matter how confident it pretends to be. And the final truth I'll reveal, it's the one that completely changes how women instinctively see a mature man, even when they can't explain it. First truth, clarity. Youth doesn't have it. A young man wants to impress. A mature man wants to understand. At 25, approval feels like oxygen. At 60, truth matters more than applause. Youth lives inside illusion. It confuses excitement with value, attention with admiration, desire with respect. But time removes illusions. A man in his 60s has seen promises collapse. He's watched passion fade. He's experienced loyalty break and silence replace intensity. And that creates something no amount of money can buy. Discernment. He doesn't listen to words. He studies actions. He doesn't chase charm. He evaluates character. He doesn't fall for intensity. He looks for depth. And that makes him calm, observant, almost impossible to manipulate. And here's the part most men don't realize. That calm awareness is attractive because a woman instantly feels when a man is no longer hypnotized by surface energy. Second truth, detachment creates respect, not coldness, not distance, detachment. A young man chases attention. A mature man decides who deserves it. He doesn't panic when she takes longer to reply. He doesn't question his value when she pulls back. He doesn't reshape himself just to stay liked. Why? Because he understands something most men never learn. His emotional stability must never depend on someone else's mood. Youth chases intensity. Age chooses stability. And this is where things shift. Because most women grow up expecting men to chase, insist, prove. But when they meet a man who doesn't chase, who observes, who selects, who protects his peace over everything, something changes. He becomes hard to shake. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he doesn't react the same way. Third truth, emotional mastery. A young man reacts. A mature man chooses. Youth is impulsive, quick to defend, quick to prove. But a man who's lived through decades of wins and losses understands something powerful. Not every situation deserves his energy. He doesn't raise his voice to dominate. He doesn't argue to protect his ego. He doesn't compete for validation. He's already seen where that leads. So instead, he pauses. He observes. He decides. And this is often misunderstood. Some think it's distance. Some think it's disinterest. But it's not. It's strength under control. And controlled strength creates something rare. Safety. A woman may test a young man, push him, provoke him. But when she meets a man who stays calm, grounded, unshaken, something shifts deep inside her, because calm under pressure is power. Fourth truth, depth replaces performance. Young men perform confidence. Mature men embody it. A young man speaks loudly to be heard. A mature man speaks less and is still listened to, because he's lived. He's felt loss, betrayal, disappointment, and instead of becoming bitter, he became deeper. You can see it in how he listens, how he pauses before speaking, how he chooses words carefully. He doesn't demand attention, but attention naturally moves toward him because presence built through experience has weight, and weight commands respect. Fifth truth, selectivity becomes power. A young man fears missing out. A mature man knows most things aren't worth chasing. He understands something crucial. Opportunity isn't rare. Quality is, so he stops chasing everything. He evaluates. He filters. He decides. He no longer tolerates disrespect disguised as passion, inconsistency disguised as mystery, confusion disguised as romance. And the moment a man becomes selective, he becomes scarce, and scarcity increases value. Sixth truth, solitude becomes strength. Here's what most people get wrong. Older men don't fear being alone. They grow into it. Solitude becomes peaceful. Silence becomes restorative. Independence becomes addictive. He builds a life he actually enjoys, and that changes everything. Because a man who is comfortable alone doesn't cling, doesn't beg, doesn't chase reassurance. He remains steady, and steady men are rare. Seventh truth, the paradox of age. The more a man accepts his age, the more powerful he becomes, because acceptance removes insecurity. He stops competing with younger men, stops comparing energy, stops measuring himself by outdated standards. He operates differently. A young man has stamina. A mature man has strategy. A young man has speed. A mature man has direction. A young man chases attention. A mature man commands respect. And women don't analyze this. They feel it. They feel the stability, the grounded energy, the quiet confidence, even when they can't explain why. Final truth. Age doesn't just give experience. It transforms a man. It turns reaction into control, need into choice, insecurity into quiet confidence, urgency into patience, performance into authenticity. Youth can imitate confidence, but it cannot replicate wisdom, because wisdom takes time. And time is the one thing youth doesn't have yet. And when a man finally reaches this level, everything changes. He stops chasing, stops proving, stops negotiating his worth. He moves with intention, chooses carefully, invests wisely, and that calm, controlled presence is something younger men admire but cannot replicate. Age doesn't weaken a man. It distills him. It removes illusions, sharpens clarity, deepens presence. And when a man understands this, he stops fearing time because he realizes something most never do. He didn't lose his edge. He refined it. If this hit deeper than you expected, then you're starting to see what most men never will. Subscribe to Cross Your Mind Neural. Love, lies, and reality, because this channel is where we break illusions and show you the truths men wish they learned earlier. And if you're ready to understand how women really perceive you at different stages of life, watch the next video on your screen, because what you don't know yet is costing you more than you think.